what chapter in the Bible are we in? Joshua. So open up to Joshua chapter 1 and we will get to reading Joshua chapter 1. If you happen to not know where Joshua chapter 1 is, how would you figure that out? The table of context. Or you can just ask your neighbor because we all have red Bibles and the number is the same. So there you go. Right into it. Verse 1. When you have it, say amen. Amen. That sounds good to me. If you don't have it, say hold up. Okay, good. Someone doesn't have it, but they don't want to say that because you know. All right, so Joshua chapter 1, verse 1. Let's read all the way down to verse 9. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' assistant, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now, therefore, arise. Go over this Jordan, you and all this people, into the land that I am giving to them, to the people of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot will tread upon, I have given to you, just as I have promised to Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, as far as the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites to the great sea, toward the going down of the sun, shall be your territory. Now, verse 5, this is where we're going to be studying today. Verse 5, no man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you or forsake you. I will not leave you or forsake you. I want you guys to note that, if you had your own Bible, to underline, I will not leave you and I will not forsake you. Be strong. Everybody say, be strong. Be strong and courageous. For you shall cause this people to inherit the land that I swore to their fathers to give to them. Verse 7. Only be strong and very courageous, being careful to do according to all the law that Moses my servant commanded you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may have good success wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Can you say amen? Amen. So today I want to talk about, because last week we talked about 2 weeks ago we talked about, what was the first P? Someone help me out. The promise, good job. So we talked about the promise of God, that we become unstoppable when we commit to the Great Commission. What about the second P? What did we talk about the following week?
Protection.
Protection. So we talked about we don't have to fear. We don't have to have irrational fear if we understand that we are protected by God. We don't have to have that fear that we all feel from time to time, but we can have faith. So this week I want to talk a little bit about, let's see, who knows what I want to talk about. What's the P that we want to talk about, Sean? Presence. Hey, if you're UTB, you can't forget that. So we want to talk about the presence of God. The presence, another word that kind of sounds like presence is present. Present. What does present remind you of? Christmas. So it reminds me, I don't even know if this has anything to do with teaching, but it reminds me of the worst Christmas gift I've ever had. Can you guys think of a terrible Christmas gift that you got?
Yep.
Okay, well, the worst Christmas gift I ever had. You guys are probably a little too young to remember this little device. It was called an iPod Touch. What? Okay. So the little iPod Touch, they had the little nanos, they had all these different, the shuffle, remember the shuffle? Then they had the iPod Touch. Now, let me tell you. Let's see, Marcus, how old are you?
14.
Yeah, I was about your age. So I was about 14 years old. I was about 14 years old. And man, that iPod Touch came out. I was like, that's it right there. I want that. I think it may have even came out before the iPod phone. The iPhone, I think it did. That iPod Touch came out, and I saw that, I was like, are you kidding me? I wanted it more than the Chiefs want to win the Super Bowl. I'm telling you, I wanted that thing so bad. She realized that I wanted the iPod Touch. And we had Christmas, and she offered me a gift. And I felt like she was going to be the one to get it to me. I was like, I just feel, she's going to be the one. So she hands me a box, and I'm just like, Lord, let it be. And so I open up the box, I look in, and I'm telling you, there it was, that iPod Touch. So I thought, open it up, I'm like, hey, an iPod Touch. Everyone's like, oh, she did not, she didn't. I was like, oh my God. I open it up. And I start to hear everyone like a thunderous roar of laughter. Everyone's like, what y'all laughing at? Open that boy up. and there it was. You ever see these little workout cases that are not iPhones, but you can stick the iPhone in it? Oh my God. She got me this thing, and I was just like, she did not. I literally was holding it. I was like, thank you. I wanted to kill her in my mind. I was just like, oh. But that drove me, it hurt, I'm telling you. I don't know if you guys have a story like that, but that one really hurt, and I remember it till this day. But that was a present that I thought was one thing, and it was not that. When we talk about the presence of God, I am talking about the greatest present that you can receive. The presence of God is the greatest present you can ever receive. And I believe that, and I'm in public school now and I kind of hear it all the time, I believe that there's a lot of different religions, there's a lot of different people that are offering the presence of God through another means other than Jesus Christ. And to me, that's like giving someone that box and opening it up and then being like, yeah, I got the present, and it's really not what they thought it was. Here we go. Let's talk about the presence of God. The presence of God, first off, God is everywhere. He's present with us. He's everywhere. He cannot be absent from any location in the world. It's what we call have you guys heard this word? The omnipresence of God. The omnipresence, some fancy word, just means he's everywhere, that's all. God is omnipresent. Listen to what the psalmist says. I'm going to read a couple verses from the psalmist today, but David says in Psalm 139, he says, if I go to heaven, you are there. Speaking to God. If I go to heaven, you're there. He says, if I go down to the grave, you are there. He says, if I ride the wings of the morning, if I dwell by the farthest oceans, even there, your hand will guide me, and your strength will support me. I could ask the darkness to hide me, and the light around me to become night. But even in the darkness, I cannot hide from you. To you, the night shines as bright as the day. He says the darkness and the light are the same to you. He's talking about God. He's talking about the omnipresence of God. In other words, you everywhere. No matter what, you're everywhere. Look the person next to you and just say he's everywhere. He's everywhere. God is everywhere, guys. God is everywhere. There is no place that he cannot be. So if you think, I was always like this when I was in high school, I thought I could run from God. Can't run from God. Because God's everywhere. You run 100 miles this way, boom, he's there. Run 100 miles that way, boom, he's there. He is everywhere. He's the creator. He's created everything. Therefore, he occupies everything. It's an attribute of God. You know what that means? It means that he did not practice it. He did not work up to become everywhere. He didn't build up enough strength to be able to be fast enough to be everywhere. God is everywhere because that's who God is. So let's go back. Watch this. I'm going to mess with you guys' heads a little bit. Go back to the passage really quick in verse 5. We're going to read verse 5 again. I want to see this. Verse 5, it says, no man shall be able to stand before you all the days of your life. Just as I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will not leave you, or what does it say there? I will not forsake you. What does it mean to leave or forsake?
To abandon.
To abandon, to leave. So, if God's omnipresent and he's everywhere, how can he leave? How can God... I'm going to mess with your heads today, yeah.
He can't.
If he's everywhere, how can he leave? How can he abandon? How can he dip, as we would say? How does God do that? If he's everywhere, if he's omnipresent, if there's no ocean too deep for him, if there's no sky too high for him, how can he leave somebody? Because here's the answer. Omnipresence means God's everywhere. But when he's talking in this passage, and to Christians, he's talking to us too, there is a deeper level of presence than just simply his omnipresence. His omnipresence means he's everywhere. But there's a deeper level of presence. It's what I call the abiding presence of God. For 2020, it's 2020. Yeah, 2020, let's go. 2020. Bill Gates, one of the richest men in the world, I don't know. He's going to follow you around everywhere. Everywhere you go, he's going to follow you around. Is that a good deal? Why is it not a good deal? It's a bit weird. She said she would ask for money. She's thinking. She said it's weird. That's not a good deal.
That's a B-I-G.
Everywhere you go, Bill Gates goes with you. Richest man in the world. He's just going with you. To me, automatically, that's kind of a good deal.
You get money off.
That's kind of a good deal. But she said, okay, Haley thinks it's a good deal. But here's the deal. Here's the deal for Sean. Everywhere you go, 2020. 2020. Bill Gates follows you around, not the shower. He follows you around, but all of his riches are at your disposal.
Who?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Please.
what if I do?
Who's got the better deal?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Sean's got better. We got a creepy deal here. We got a legit deal over here. All right, y'all can sit down. That's what it's like to be in this presence of God that we're talking about in the passage. This abiding presence of God. That's what it's like. Over here, now God's not creepy, don't get me wrong. But if God is everywhere, there's also a lack of connection between humanity and God. So he's still omnipresent, but he's not present with you in the second scenario. Does that make sense? Yeah, I told you I was gonna mess with your head. You better pay attention, boy. So here's the thing. God's presence for Christians. God's presence for Christians is personal, and it comes with privileges. That's something you might want to write down, so I'll say it slowly. God's presence for a Christian is personal, and it comes with privileges. The first scenario, he's just here. I think this is a lot. This can be some of us. He's just here. The second one, over here, everything he owns, everything he has is at his disposal. Why? Because God is family with us. Okay? When we link up to God and his presence, we get into his personal care. There's a big difference. With God being with us, he is we'll see later, he's our protection, he's our provider because of his presence, and he's our joy because of his presence. Okay, this is very, very, very important. Because I'm making the claim, listen to this, I'm saying that it's because you're a Christian that his presence is personal in your life. And everything that he has is at your disposal. That's what I'm saying. How can that be? Look at Psalm 24. Just listen very carefully to this. Psalm 24, verse 3. I want you guys to pay attention to this. Verse 3. This is what the psalmist says. Who may climb the mountain of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? This is what he's asking. Who can get there? So when he says who can stand at the holy place of God, he's talking about that personal presence of God. Remember, God's everywhere. He's up on a mountain now, we can't get to him? No, he's everywhere. But there's a certain degree of God that you have to get to. He says, who can get to that holy place? Who can get there, he says. Then he says in verse 4, only those whose hands and hearts are pure, who do not worship idols and never tell lies, they will receive the Lord's blessing. Those are the privileges I'm talking about. So only those who are pure, only those who are perfect, only those who never have a bad attitude, who never tell lies, who never steal, who never fight, who never get angry, who never are jealous, who never are lustful. Only those people are the ones that can get into this second scenario with God, this personal and privileged scenario with God. Because let me say this. Has anybody here been able to achieve that in this room? Has anybody here been able to be pure? Has anyone here ever not told a lie, not been jealous, not been envious, not been angry, even in your thoughts? No. Nobody here is able to achieve that. Nobody here can achieve that perfection, that holy perfection. Nobody can get to this scenario. Everyone's over here. Sorry, that sucks. But that's not the end of the story, and we know that, right? It's not the end of the story. Because no human's been able to accomplish that except one. Right? This is why we sing. What a beautiful name it is. This is why we sing. What a great king he is. This is why we're singing to him. This is why tonight's about him. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about Jesus. It's about Jesus. So this Jesus, who is God and he's man, he comes down and what does he do? He lives a perfect, pure, holy life. Never tells a lie. Never steals. Never murders. He's tempted. Doesn't even give in. Lives a perfect, holy, righteous, pure life. And then, all the sin that we ever had, all the sin that we've ever thought, all the sin that we will ever do, he doesn't just live that perfect life and leave and go back to heaven and be like, see ya, humans. No. What does he do? He takes all that sin and he puts it on his back. And he dies. The perfect Lamb, the one who was perfect, the one who was pure, dies for our sins, guys. It's huge. That's so huge because what happens is when we put our faith in him, what that means is when we believe in him, when we believe that he's done that for us, that he's taken every single lie, he's taken every single sin, every single dirty thought, he's taken every single one of those and died for it, for us, to get to the presence of God. When we put our faith in that, that becomes the pathway that we can enter into his presence. A Christian is someone who puts their faith in the fact that Jesus died for their sins. And then a Christian enters into the presence of God, not in heaven, but here on earth. They enter into the presence of God here. So when he says, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you, what he's saying is, when you put your faith in me, I'm not leaving you. When you put your faith in me, I'm with you 24/7. Yeah, Bill Gates may be with you for a year and give you all of his stuff, but he's like, I'm with you 24/7, 365 for the rest of your life. I'm with you. A lot better than Bill Gates, a lot better deal. If you put your faith in me. He says, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. It's not possible. I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. But you know what's so crazy, guys? Who did he leave and who did he forsake? Who did God leave? Who did God forsake? Matthew chapter 27, verse 46. Jesus is up on a cross, right? The perfect man, perfect God, he's up on a cross. And he's about to die. And right before he dies, what does he say? He says, and about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice. He says, Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. Whatever. I got it. Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani. That is, and it translates it here. My God, he's on a cross. My God, why have you forsaken me? That's some deep stuff. Yeah, got you with some deep stuff tonight. So he tells us, I will never leave you and I will never forsake you. Because, this is why I will never leave you and forsake you. Because I left Jesus and I forsook him. That's crazy. That's crazy. If that doesn't smack you upside the head with just like, what? Then I don't know what else to say. That is crazy. That's the gospel. That's it right there. We are putting our faith in the fact that a perfect man lived in our world. You know how hard it is not to sin in our world? Oh, every single day. Like, it's rough. In our world, a perfect man lived perfectly. Then we threw him up on a cross and said, you're false. Get up on a cross. Die. And we didn't just reject him, but God looked at him and said, nope, I'm rejecting you. God rejected the perfect one so that he could accept us. These are three things that I see that we get according to our passage. The first one is the presence of God comes with the protection of God. Now, see, remember we talked about this last week a little bit. We talked about how we don't have to fear those fearful moments when I'll go to say something and I'm so scared that little knot works its way up in my stomach and I can't play the trumpet or I can't do what I want to do and I can't sing and I can't perform because I'm so scared. We said we don't have to fear because we are protected by God. He's always protecting us. But we cannot be protected by God if we are not in his presence. It's his presence that protects us. So no more fear, guys. No more fear. Enough of it. No more fear. Because of his protection. The second thing is being in God's presence guarantees me a friend. Yeah. Look at the person next to you and say, I'm a friend of God. Being in the presence of God guarantees me a friend. I am a friend of God. It says that Abraham was a friend of God. The psalmist talks about becoming a friend of God. See, this is sometimes we see him as king because he is. We see him as Lord because he is. In other words, he tells us what to do and we do it. We see him as master. He tells us what to do and we do it. We see him as the king of kings, right? He's over everything. We see him as protector, as provider. He's great. He's magnificent. He's awesome. But you know, God is also a friend. He's also a friend. I think this is so important because I think a lot of our fear can come from the fact that we don't want to lose friends. See now, like I said, I teach in high school now. Well, not really. I'm in high school now, and I hear it all the time, and I get to just see it. All the kids that are acting up, it's just so easy to see. It's just I sit back and I'm just like, wow, that's very easy to see. It's quite simply, I don't even think students want to be popular anymore. I'm not even so sure that's a thing. Like popularity is like, whatever. What is it really? Not really popularity. It's just fitting in somewhere. It's just like, just somewhere. I mean, I don't even care. You pick the group for me. I don't care who, I don't need to go pick, just somebody accept me for goodness sakes. Somebody. That's what it feels like. And you know what? I'm not going to say that's a bad feeling because that's a very human feeling. We're supposed to belong to something. We're supposed to belong. That's when you come here, we want you to belong. We want you to be a part of what we're doing. We want you to feel like family. But how many understand that even earthly family will let you down? Yeah, big time, won't they? God is that brother, he's that sister, he's not a girl, but he is that he is that mother, father figure in your life, that daughter, brother, whatever figure in your life that will never let you down. He's a friend. So if I know that I have a guaranteed friend in God, I love y'all, but you don't like me, so be it. I got God. That's what this whole thing is about. It's about courage. It's about becoming strong and courageous. It gives you confidence when you know, I got a friend in God, man. I don't need to suck up to you. I don't need to do something stupid in school. I don't need to say this just to fit in. I don't need to go do that, this, that, and the other. I don't need to laugh when you're laughing at something stupid. I don't need to do that. Sorry, don't. Love me, hate me, it is what it is. Got a friend in God. Got a friend in God. That's a very, very big thing. And then the third and final thing, the most important thing by far, is God's presence simply is joy. Ooh. God's presence is joy. Amen. It is joy. Last Psalm, Psalm 16:11. You make known to me the path of life, the psalmist says to God. You make known to me the path of life. In your presence there is fullness of joy. At your right hand are pleasures forevermore. Man. We look for pleasure oh man, don't we? We want pleasure in food, we want pleasure in friends, we want pleasure in we want pleasure everywhere. And there is pleasure in a lot of different places. But he says there is fullness of joy in your presence. There is pleasures forevermore in God's presence. What is what is man created for? The glory of God, right? We are created to glorify God and to enjoy him forever. Wait, look, what we are naturally created for is joy. That's what we're naturally created for. We are naturally created for that. What do? Yes, we sin. But that's why God takes care of that in faith. Sin keeps us from the joy of God. It just does. Sin keeps us from that. Marcus, you hearing me, buddy? Sin keeps us from that. But because of faith, we can enter into his presence. We can have that joy forever and forevermore. So I'm going to pray us out. I really want you to think about that. Some of you have heard that over and over and over and over and over, but that I refuse to not say the gospel in here. I refuse. I refuse to sit up here and make you laugh and entertain you. I don't care. I refuse to do it. It's not going to happen. But you know why? Because I was just talking to Tony today, and most high schoolers leave high school and they leave church when they leave high school. Most. Why? Because they never really had that faith. They leaned on their parents. They leaned on someone else. They heard it too many times, but it never got down deep. So I refuse. I'm a little angry at that. I am. I'm angry at that. I don't like that. Not at us or you guys or anything like that, but I'm angry at the fact that that happens. Because people like myself are not bold enough to tell you the truth. And the truth is, guys, you've got to grab it for yourself. You got to grab it for yourself. It's not fun and games. Okay? We love fun and games. We love that. But look, there comes a point where you got to say, look, man, I got to get this for myself or I'm whatever. It's over. Take it for yourself. Do it in middle school. Do it in high school. Do it in college. Do it now. Because if you don't, trust me, the job of the devil, I was sitting down with someone the other day, and he was asking, what is up with the devil? Like, what does the devil do? He's asking me all these questions. He's trying to learn about Christianity. He's like, what does he do? I'm like, look, the devil's job is to blind you. That's like his job. It's to entertain you to death. That's the devil's job, to blind you. To have you sit in front of truth and to say, okay. Or to sit in front of truth and be like, no, that's wrong. Or to sit in front of truth and be like, yeah, that's common. There's other truth over here. That's his job. He has systems. He has ways. He has different things that he sets up to do that. So my job is to push through that. That's my job, is to push through that. And to rely on the Spirit of God. That's why we pray. To rely on the Spirit of God. Lord, get this blindness away. Get it away so that we can truly come and look at truth. That's what we're here for, guys. That's it. That's it. A little deeper today. It's a little deeper teaching. But you guys can handle it. Okay? It's truth. I want you to think about that tonight. Think about how is the gospel, how is the presence of God, being in the presence of God, changing my life? Is it transforming me? Can I look back a year and say, wow, I've grown? Is it changing my attitude? Is it changing my arrogance? Is it changing my pride? Is it changing who I am? Is the presence of God doing that? If it's not, look in the mirror and let's go ahead and face that. Let's change it. Am I still so fearful? You got to get in the presence of God. You do so by getting in the Word of God. You do so by coming to church, praying to God, talking to Him, primarily believing in truth. Belief, I believe it over and over and over again. That's the presence of God. Lord, thank you so much for who you are, for being good, for being so good. Thank you for truth. I was reading today in the Word, and it said that Paul preached the Word with all boldness. He preached it with all boldness. And that's what we're going to do, Lord. We're going to preach the Word of God in boldness. No matter who hears, we want to stand up. And we want to be strong, and we want to be courageous. Every place is given to us if we just believe, Lord. All joy, all peace, all goodness is ours if we believe in who you are. Help that belief move us into action, move us into questioning, not into passivity and weakness and fear, but move us into that, Lord. Thank you for loving us. No matter on our worst day, you love us. Thank you so, so, so much. It's in your precious and holy Son's name. Everybody said, Amen. Amen.